Hey there, welcome to the Reinsurance Podcast, the place where we dive into all things reinsurance, the coolest part of insurance. We're your hosts, Jared and Ben, a couple of ex-practitioners who loved the industry so much we founded Supercede to tackle some of its biggest headaches. And we're here to share our insights and stories with expert guests as we uncover what's really going on in the industry.
Well, welcome back, everybody, to another special Rendezvous edition of the Reinsurance Podcast. Delighted to have with us Shevawn Barder, CEO of AM Specialty. How are you, Shevawn?
I'm great, thank you, and it's very nice to be here.
Now, I'm delighted that the weather has improved as well, because had we done this yesterday, we'd all be drenched and
I know.
Rocking backwards and
Lucky
forwards.
to arrive, actually.
Yeah. And I appreciate you sort of just got in and the conference is, only just really underway. What are your impressions coming in? Obviously, lots of hype before the conference. What are you excited to be hearing about whilst you're here?
I think the interesting thing is that the market has moved into a stronger place. So we obviously have, rates, benchmarked against, I guess, social inflation concerns, but I think that the market actually is in a strong rate environment, which is a more positive story than has been for a little while. I think, interestingly, reinsurance capacity, I would say, is probably on the foremost of everyone's mind because there has been, a lack of that in the market, and that has made it, companies difficult to cope with being able to access reinsurance. So I guess that those are the two main topics, and then also I think capital, the concept of capital coming into the market is a very topical issue.
Yeah, there's this sort of lack of class of 24, 23, and so on.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So trying to attract capital back into what I think is a balance sheet. Investment opportunity relative to, what private equity loves are fees. So really trying to, change that, conversation back into, it's a capital investment over the long term.
Makes complete sense. And what I'd love to do for our listeners is maybe characterize the way you're looking at some of these trends from an AM Specialty perspective. Would you be happy to give us a bit of an origin story?
Of course.
And where things are now, what you're looking forward to?
Of course. So, I'm CEO of AM Specialty. We're a Dallas-based excess and surplus lines carrier. I have 30 years in the industry, originally starting as a broker in the London market. I've created kind of three, this is my third company that I've created. Amazing. And we're privately owned. As a result, it's our money on the table, and we are a balance sheet. I've run MGAs, I've run fee generative businesses, and now we really are looking at, the insurance company. But to me, the thing about insurance is very important to society. It creates, stability, for economic growth and certainty. We have a huge level of commitment to our company, and I think it's a very compelling story. And I think that, what you have to get over is this short-termism in the economic discussion, and really have a focus about, genuine capital creation that is on a longer term, more sustainable model.
Yeah, I guess that must change your outlook quite a bit as a private
It does.
player.
I tell you, because we're private, so money is our oxygen.
Yep.
I need capital investment in my company at a time when the market is hard. There are really great opportunities from my perspective in the market. I run a company that really focuses very much on underwriting expertise. I have an incredible deep bench of experience within my company, and we look at underwriting opportunities from a technical aspect. We don't look at it from a credit risk aspect or a volume kind of fee generative aspect. We really want to engage with partners that we can build relationships with over the long term, because really that is what insurance is about. It's about long-term sustainability in the market.
Completely. And speaking of, I guess, long-term partnerships and relationships, what brings you to Monte Carlo? What's your sort of main focus as you come to this place?
Well, I've been coming to this conference for a long time, so it's always very interesting to see what the topics of conversation are. Being based in the U.S., it's very interesting for us to come into, more of the European sphere, the European part of the market, and, really understand that side of the equation, because I think sometimes being based in the U.S., you're kind of existing in your own little bubble, know. So, obviously we'd love to have some serious discussions with reinsurers. And then, debt and capital markets, of course, as well.
Yeah, brilliant. That makes a lot of sense. And any of the themes that were discussed sort of prior to coming that you're interested to see where the market lands on by the end of this week? Or?
I think the thing about the timing of this conference is always extremely interesting, because it's not quite at the end of the hurricane season, so the wind could still blow between now and October. So we don't want to say that we have got off yet, because that's always a possibility. But I think it always kind of tees the rest of the year up in terms of the kind of deals that are struck and the capacity that goes into the market. Yeah. So I think that that's always a very good benchmark and thermometer for how we can see the 1/1 renewal season play out, and as we move into a new year.
Yeah, completely. I think it was marketed as the hurricane season from hell, about 6 months ago. Everyone was waiting, for this warm sea temperature to make a big difference. But yeah.
I know we've had a blow, but it hasn't been as bad as everyone expected, right?
Fingers crossed, I guess, and maybe that will help with some of the reinsurer conversations.
It might
as well. Yeah, and any sort of non-cat areas that you're keeping a close eye on?
So we write a diversified portfolio of book in our business. So we write property and casualty. I think the discussion around the casualty market is reserving and social inflation. Yeah. I think that's something that's probably foremost in people's minds, is that how are they going to have to look at the reserves as we move in. You have it's the settlement of I want to think of the right word, I can't, it's not coming to my mind, but it's settlement of claims. So that is really key. And I think when you look particularly at the U.S. market, you have certain states where there is concern about settlements. Florida, I think that they've kind of backed off. Regulators have backed off a little bit in the Florida market, and they've started to kind of move back onto the equation of the insurer side. California, I'm sure people, companies are watching California. It's quite extraordinary. There has been an exodus from California. You think the likes of Allstate, Farmers, Geico, to just name a few off the, have all limited their capacity or exiting that market. That's not good for anyone. And so, that is something that should be ringing alarm bells, within the industry for sure.
Absolutely. And it's not really, at least, so I've been here a couple of days early, and the reinsurance market's not really come up with a convincing response yet, at least as far as I can tell.
I don't really think it's about the reinsurers' response. I really think the California situation is regulators. I think that regulators have to come to the table and meet the insurance industry on their terms, because you have to have an element of balance. You can't have regulators dictate terms to the insurance industry. And so to me, from my perspective, that's really a political conversation that needs to be had, with a realization that you want insurers in your market. And so how are you going to attract them? Because when you look at California, it's essentially a country in itself. It's very wealthy. There's a lot of infrastructure that needs insurance there, insurance and reinsurance. So, they've got to engage in that conversation and get those companies back in that market.
Yeah, completely. And I was curious, just because a couple of the other themes that have come up, I'd be very interested to get a private company's perspective and not the sort of public, what the shareholders must hear perspective. Thoughts on, respectively, alternative capital and AI, I'm going to throw in at the end as well. Because they're both very talked about. But
yes. So, from a private perspective, we have a kind of unique perspective on the market, because my husband has been in the industry for a long time. I've been in the industry for a long time, and it's a family company. Our kids work for us, and we really treat almost every member of our staff as if it's a family. We have a very particular culture. So, we're protective. We are licensed both as a primary writer and as a reinsurer. So I think that we have looked at the market currently as a reinsurance opportunity, and we've been able to kind of, if you like, take advantage of the reinsurance side of the equation, which has been a benefit to us because there is definitely lack of reinsurance capital in the U.S. market. So from our perspective, we're nimble. We don't have to answer to anyone. We have the expertise within our company to make the underwriting decisions, and we can gravitate to where we really feel we will get the best value for our capital and for our company. So I think that is kind of unique because most companies have to answer to private equity or their board, and that I think complicates the discussion at times. Again, I'm going back to, insurance and reinsurance is about longevity, so it's about, creating those opportunities that can be renewed year on year, and then from there you create a core book of business that you develop into your company. I'll just go to AI. There's so much hype about AI, particularly like AI generally in society, and then AI within the insurance industry. And I guess maybe a little bit of the precursor to AI was InsurTech. So bringing InsurTech into the insurance industry was like a big deal, and I think now it's kind of settled down. I'm an advocate of AI, but I don't need anyone to think for me. If I'm talking, I want to be able to talk. Absolutely. I don't want somebody else to, be coming up with my ideas. I think the thing is, we look at it from an efficiency standpoint. I think it's important to be able to run an efficient and effective business. So AI, from that perspective, I certainly would never rely on AI to make any underwriting decisions. I think that frightens me. I'm old school in that respect. So, from that perspective, I can't support it. But certainly from an efficiency standpoint, I think it's very important. We have our own proprietary software within our company. We've created that. Nice. We continue to develop that. We have software engineers that are, part of our team. And so we're always looking to, build and adapt our software to enhance our value proposition. And I think that's important, and it gives us leverage against our competition.
Absolutely. Yeah. Very exciting. And final question for you. We're hopefully going to see you here next year in Monte.
I hope so too.
Anything on the menu between now and then that you're looking forward to? Or?
I mean, we've just opened 2 offices in New York and in London, so we're really making. So we're in Dallas. We have offices in Milwaukee and now New York and London. So we're making a push. We've hired Darren Powell, so we're making a push into the London market. I think that will be great for us because it will give us. Thank you. It'll give us a broader network and kind of get us into the London market. I started my career in the London market, so for me to be able to go back there, it's very exciting. And Darren has a fantastic expertise and industry knowledge, so I think it's wonderful for us to be able to engage him. And then getting back into the New York, market again is exciting for us because we've been there too, and to kind of get back into the Northeast market, I think will be a good dynamic for our company.
It's really exciting, Shevawn. Thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing all about it. I look forward to hearing next year.
I hope.
Thank you again, Shevawn, and enjoy the conference.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to the Reinsurance Podcast. If you enjoyed our show, don't forget to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and leave us a review to let us know how we're doing, preferably 5 stars. For more insights and updates, follow us on LinkedIn and visit our website at supercede.com/podcasts. You'll find the links in the show notes.